Hello and welcome to probably my most biggest and important video that I have made on this channel. So, welcome to Saving Konosuba Fantastic Days. Now, if you are viewing this video through some other means that's not YouTube, or you were sent this, or just whatever it may be, let me just kind of lay the groundwork for this video. So, the reason this is Saving Konosuba Fantastic Days is because the game has been going through kind of a rough patch, and I set out to pretty much gather my ideas and ask the community, which I know I don't speak for everybody, and not everybody who plays the game responded, but I do think it is a good chunk who rather saying around the same things, so I wanted to get the word out for those individuals and spread awareness to the issues that the community has on this game. Now, if you are, let's say, just anyone or a Nexon employee or an affiliate, and you're seeing this, hopefully this video is in good enough quality. I set out on a huge task. I had this grand idea, and I realized most of the way through, because this video is rather late from the initial video that I did make about asking questions and when this controversy originally started. So I do apologize for the wait, but I set out on this task and realized I'm not the most well-suited individual, so hopefully this video looks okay enough. I do apologize if it looks like a slideshow. That's kind of where my expertise ends, with making everything look like for video editing. But getting into the main topic, I'm going to go over the concerns about Konosuba Fantastic Days, what I think should be implemented to help, or suggestions to help fix what the player base has been complaining about or concerned about, and kind of give my own I guess tips on maybe some more features that could be added, and then at the very end, for you Nexon employees or affiliates, or I'm not too sure if that would fall into any other category, but I do have a special message at the end, so stick around if that involves you. And of course, if you're watching this video, stick around for the end as well, just because I think it is an important message. Now, let's get into the next part, and that is mentioning the other 4 gacha games I'm going to be talking about in this video. The reason I picked these 4 is for a couple reasons. Now, the first one is Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle. Now, if you're hearing this OST in the back, funny enough, it's from that game. I do think it is probably the most successful gacha game I know of. Personally, it hits top grossing pretty much every major celebration it has. It is, I believe, 7 years on the global side, and I think almost 8 years old on the Japanese side. They're not super far off of each other, and yeah, no, they blow it out of the water with their celebrations. So I think it is a good game to compare it to, as if you play Konosuba Fantastic Days, it is a gacha game where you're summoning for characters. So of course these 4 games are gacha games. Next up is Dragon Ball Legends, another Dragon Ball game, because Dragon Ball is a huge IP. While I personally don't like Legends too much, it doesn't really cater towards me specifically. I do have to understand that it is a overall, received game. I've seen, ups and downs about it, but it has hit top grossing before, and I do think it has some pretty good mechanics, and some other things. We'll get into that a little bit later though. Next up is 7 Deadly Sins Grand Cross. It has also hit top grossing a couple times on the JP and global side. They are a bit closer together, as I think they're like 1.5, 2 weeks off of each other. Personally, I think this is the most quote-unquote fun gacha game. Personally, I do think the next one on the list is my favorite of all time, but I think Grand Cross has a good concept on banners, how expensive they are, when to offer discounts, they have sales. The gameplay is engaging, just like Konosuba's. While it does have a different type of gameplay, I do kind of compare it to Konosuba, as it's engaging. unlike something like Dokkan where it's more you click at your own pace and you can set it down for a while. Not saying you can't do that Grand Cross, but you know, if you play Grand Cross, you know what I mean. Next up is Kingdom Hearts Union Cross. Personally, that is my favorite gacha game. I've had probably the most fun on that game. If you want to get into technicalities, you could, you know, toss up if Grand Cross is better than it. But personally speaking, I think this gacha game is my favorite, so I had to put it on the list for personal preference. I also do think it had a good variety of modes, and there's one mode in particular that I kind of hope comes to Konosuba Fantastic Days, but we'll get into that at a later moment. Next up is, of course, credit for gameplay or screenshots, depending on what game. Now, as of this moment, unfortunately, Kingdom Hearts Union Cross did shut down a while ago, so the footage and screenshots are going to be from these two individuals, as I pretty much have no way of showing you anything about the game unless it was recorded already. Seven Deadly Sins, while it is out right now, my good friend, Amazing, has a YouTube channel and he goes over the game, so I was able to grab some gameplay and footage from him that I couldn't get myself. And of course, I did ask these individuals beforehand. They said they're okay. Of course, I'm crediting them. Amazing has a YouTube channel on Twitter. You should see it on the side of the screen when gameplay that I've got from them is shown. Same with Damo has a YouTube and a Twitter. Goes over the Kingdom Hearts Union Cross story and other gameplay aspects, and just covers Kingdom Hearts in general. And then an old friend of mine, Shikairi, who has really old screenshots of the game. Thankfully, she saved them. Thank you so much. She also edits, so check her out on Twitter. She makes really awesome Kingdom Hearts videos for the community. But anyway, if gameplay from them is shown, it's from them. You'll see them on side. If not, I've recorded it myself, so don't worry about that. You should see links to their Twitter and YouTube in the description. By the way, if you did want to check them out and you're too lazy to type it in with your fingers. Anyway, next part, which is community outcry. Now, I did mention the community being upset about a couple things in Konosuba, and I have seen pretty much everywhere. Now, if you didn't know, there is a Discord, which is the official Konosuba Discord, and there is a Reddit Discord as well. I've seen, I don't know if the right word would be, it escapes me at the moment. Concern is probably the one I've been saying the most, so I'm just going to say it again. Concern about the game from both Discords. I've seen a couple things on Reddit. I don't browse Reddit too much though, to be fair, so I could have missed a lot more, or, you know, a lot less. I just go on there every now and then. And then YouTube, of course, YouTube comments. I'm going to get to that a little bit later. But on YouTube, people have voiced their concern about, oh, holy crap, why is this happening? Like, I'm not ready, I don't have enough quartz, or there's, like, you know, not enough of this or that. So we are going to be covering the YouTube side, but I promise you, the Reddit and Discord, there is discourse there as well. I'm sure if you are a Nexon employee, or you work for them, or whatever criteria of Nexon you are in, you've probably seen it. I know Ghosty has, you know, probably seen it the most. I'd see it's the community manager in the Twitch chat and in the Discord chat. I'm sure he has seen people show their distaste. And of course, there is a Discord channel for voicing your concerns. You'll probably see this video in there at some point. So don't feel afraid to voice your concerns in that Discord channel. But these are pretty much the main areas I have seen the community cry out about banners, lack of content, and all this other stuff. Now, let's look at those comments now, shall we? These are the comments on a YouTube video I made. Pretty much general idea of the video, because I don't want to go over that for too long, is what do you think about Konosuba? And, you know, what are your thoughts on it? Are you happy with it? Like, voice your concerns, pretty much just pour your heart out and tell me about it. Now, I'm not going to go over all of these, because this video is already going to be rather long, and I'm sure my voice would give out and you'd hear me hawking up a lung at the end of it, so we'll go over a brief summary of them. There are 18 comments on here, so obviously it's not the entire community, but thank you for the individuals who did comment. Now, first one says if they are rushing this much, they should at least lower the pity to maybe 60k, since 65k is not possible with 3k summons, to basically balance the quartz economy for players, because they can't just rush this much and keep the quartz they give us this low. Now, I do agree, and the next one, funny enough, is going to be a video topic. There we go. Sorry. Later in the video is that they should add more quartz to arenas, or somewhere else. Not saying they should just give a ton of quartz, just enough to balance the incredible rush of banners they are trying to push in such little time. Fully agree. 65k, while pity is good, because I know certain gacha games do not have pity, and that is very rough on players. You know, lowering the quartz amount is nice, especially with rushing banners. If you summon on Anniversary and then you blew all your quartz you've been saving, boom, you have all the characters. Cosma came out really fast, which, funny enough, is going to be the next topic of the video. You're kind of screwed. 65k is 25 multis, and 3k to summon means you have to grind it quite a bit. Most of the time, the logins are within like 100 to 300 quartz, depending on what the celebration is. I know there's sometimes where it's 500 to 1,000, but that's still not anywhere close to a multi, and you got to do 25 of them, by the way. And if you want to pity multiple characters, that's 75k each time you want to pity a character. I see this individual said 65. I'm pretty sure it's 75, so I do apologize for slight confusion on that one. But still, regardless, even if it was 65k, it's a lot of quartz that you have to go through. So I do think that, you know, it's fair that the free-to-play community especially would like more quartz. If you're more of a whale, I'm sure quartz isn't a huge issue to you as long as you have the funds. Next comment says, I see Kono fan, which a lot of the community refers to Konosuba Fantastic Days as Kono fan, as a casual side gacha game that I main here, since it's really quick to just hop in, do your dailies, and leave. I really like the aspect of the game compared to something like Genshin. I do think they should add more content / rewards though. So there is another person asking for more content / rewards, and we're going to scroll down a bit. One query that has been sitting in my head since the multiple limited banners last month, and now the push on festival and possible Overlord collab, is there the possibility that we are seeing a push to encourage max store sales for limited units and existing content before a global version close down. Now that is another concern. People are concerned that the game is going to crash and burn, and it's pretty much a quick money grab, so they are hesitant to spend money. And if you didn't know this, or you just weren't in the loop, gacha games need money to survive, so if people are hesitant to spend money because they think the game's going to shut down, it would pretty much invalidate their spending. They're not going to spend. So not a great look when people think that the game is going to shut down because they won't spend money. Because why would you spend, let's say, $200 to get a character, and then next month they're shutting down, you can't use the character, you kind of just, you know, lost $200. So that is a fair concern. Next up is, as a completely free-to-play, the game is pretty generous. I'm fine with what the game gives us. You gotta skip a few banners, and I'm fine with that, which is fair. If you are free-to-play, oh, hang on, let me scroll up, sorry. If you are free-to-play, that is just how it is, unfortunately. You do just have to accept that it is what it is. You're not gonna be able to summon on every single banner, unfortunately. So, I like that. You just gotta skip a few banners. They say, but rushing is not good. Players, especially free-to-play players, will not have enough time to save quartz, or at least reduce the pity. 75k is a bit too much. Understandable. If, you know, like I said before, you don't have enough quartz and you're free-to-play, you have to really be careful on what you summon on. And I'm a Wiz fan, and I'm mostly pretty much free-to-play all the time on I almost said Genshin, sorry, on Konosuba. And I really wanted to summon for Wiz. I know she's not great, so I shouldn't as a free-to-play, but I didn't want to summon, but I can't, because if they drop a limited banner and I don't get them, it sucks. Next up, also do the 2x mini food drop events a little more frequently. I mean, hey, I'm pretty sure it's out right now, so I guess they got their wish. A guild or clan system would be great. Foreshadowing to near the end of the video. Next up, we have I'm more on a low spender free to play side and consider stopping playing the game this month due to 2 reasons: lack of content and banner haste. You can kind of see what the gist about it is. I'm going to go through these a little bit faster this time. Free to play, not getting every unit rerun, it's fair to get them late, but collab units never have a chance to pull again. It's frustrating me. So that is a huge concern. The reason why I and all my Should Do Some videos say save for Overlords, because if you do not get the Overlord characters, I'm sure it's not Nexon's fault. It's, you know, I'm sure licensing and all that stuff is, you know, not the easiest to always just whip out and have. But the fact that they don't return is pretty much incentive to it. You better pull all of the collab units or you're not getting them, and that will sway players from not wanting to spend quartz on other things, such as, funny enough, Halloween or Christmas, because, you know, it's not confirmed, but people are saying, hey, we got ReZero around this time last year, so maybe we can expect Overlord, right? And if Overlord's coming, if you spend all of your quartz on Halloween, then Overlord comes out, or let's say you spend it on Kazuma, who just came out, and you have enough for Overlord, then you can get the characters, and people like to collect. This is a gacha game. People like to have as many characters as they can, or they're big fans of Overlord. You can see the issue. Next up is, I don't mind if they slow down the banner summon, unless they're trying to catch up with JP. Like they've done this since Grand Cross. Grand Cross did this where they kind of pushed ahead, and it kind of caused some issues, but they weren't too far behind. I don't think Global would be able to realistically catch up with JP, so please, next time, don't try to do that. Your game will pretty much just die right then and there. Where's the background? Yes, sir. Yeah, pretty much hashtag buff Kazuma. Yes. Pretty much the rest of these comments are saying pity should be lowered, quests are boring, lack of content, meta units everywhere. Pretty much you guys get the gist. There's just so much summons and limited characters and lack of content to get quartz from. That is pretty much the main concern. Now, boom. Okay. The cause of it all. So that video was made because of this. Now, if you don't know what this is the September sneak peek. And there are 4 banners in here, because there basically was 4 weeks of September, and that was Onsen Mel, Kempo Wiz, Legendary Kazuma, and Ninja Chris. Now, Onsen Mel is the Resistant Shred unit for Earth. Our only Resistant Shred unit at the moment was Idol Kazuma, which is Anniversary, and he was Wind. So, Onsen Mel, very good character. However, since he was General Pull, it was pretty much just don't summon, because, you know, you want to summon on limited banners because you can't always get them. Wiz was unfortunately not strong enough to have people summon on. Like myself, I personally would have summoned, but as a free to play, you have to be careful with your quartz. And then Kazuma. Now the issue with Kazuma is on JP, as you see on the screen, he was a little bit farther ahead. Now on the screen you see that it is 1.5 times rates still, so JP still have the same rates as us. I put that on the screen just to clarify. JP doesn't have like more rates than us, and it's not like more people had Kazuma just because of that. It's just because Kazuma came out as the 1.5 anniversary. Now, if you don't have too much knowledge on the JP version, which is the timeline that we are kind of going on, just because of, you know, banner release and meta, we seem to be following Halloween. Like, if Halloween units are Halloween, we're not getting them in a weird time. If it is a seasonal thing, like Christmas, New Year's, we get those units, which is causing the timeline to be a little funky. However, Kazuma came out 3 weeks after anniversary. On JP, he came out 2.5 months. Now, JP every 2.5 months releases a festival. I believe on their 1.5 was, I do apologize by the way if I did say 1.5 on Kazuma, I meant 1.25. 1.5 was, I believe, Megumi and Wiz, and then on the 1.75 was almost a Ninja Chris, Legendary Chris, and then on their 2nd anniversary should be Union and Iris, if I'm not mistaken. And that's fair. Every 2.5 months, that gives you somewhat time to save if you don't want to summon on the legendary character, you could try and get them when they come back with the next legendary character. It's not too bad. However, 3 weeks is not enough time to get anywhere close to amount to pity, or heck, even a few multis. The game just does not give that much currency, especially if you already drain yourself playing through all these story and quests, because Konosuba only has events to really give you more quartz, and they don't even give you a multi, unfortunately. So a lot of people were not able to get Cosmo, or just couldn't summon for lack of quartz. And that's pretty much the main reason of this video and the comment section before it, is rushing banners, because players are very concerned that, you know, the next month, which unfortunately this video took me a long time to make, so we actually have the preview for the next month. Luckily, nothing too crazy on that one. Limited wise, there are some powerful characters, but they're in the general pool. Now, that's not to say that next month couldn't be crazy. Of course, if you're an Exxon employee watching this, you probably already know what's coming. I don't. I'm not, you know, psychic. So I'm kind of hoping it stays somewhat chill. But yeah, Cosmo was pretty much just a moment in the community where people started getting worried. I don't know how many players left because of Cosmo, but I do know there was a few who made it vocal that they are not playing anymore, they're not spending, because they will not have enough money to, you know, justify summoning on all these characters. Now, another thing in the video was lack of content. That is another reason for this video, and that is we have the global version on the left and JP on the right. Now, JP on the right has permanent dungeons, which we don't have, and I'm not too sure what it is, but I believe the one with Cosmo is some sort of upgrade system for characters. I'm not sure which one, because there is a couple that we don't have on global, but it is one of them, and it looks to be a sort of, you fight an enemy and you travel along a path, you fight more characters. I'm not too sure how exactly it works, because I unfortunately do not read Japanese, so I can't really read too much into it, and I haven't attempted it at all, so I don't have too much knowledge on that. But everything else is pretty much the same. Main quests, you farm them hard for your materials. The event is not super long. I guess you'd fight the boss a couple times. Free quests, you hit skip, and then arena is kind of the main content you would be focused on. And that's it. I don't know if you guys have played too many gacha games. I've been around the scene for a while. I've played since the early days of gacha games. I remember playing Brave Frontier, which I don't know if it was the first gacha game, but I remember not seeing too many gacha games other than that when I first started playing. Maybe they're more on the low key, but there was a lot of content in most gacha games. Grand Cross is a good example. Konosuba kind of lacks that. Once you do your dailies and then arena, you can pretty much just get off, which kind of sucks because the gameplay in Konosuba is very nice, and I'm sure a lot of the player base would love to sit on the game for, you know, multiple hours and play if they can. I'm sure other players enjoy the fact that you can just like hop on for like 2 minutes and then boom, you're out. But I feel like for a game to thrive, you have to have content and engage players in your game. So that's why I'm mentioning this, and of course, other people are also in agreement with me that there is a lack of content. Now, fixing Konosuba Fantastic Days. There is a few things with that. So, I have a few examples here. Hopefully, I edit this correctly and you're seeing what I'm talking about on the screen. But, fixing Konosuba. So, the first thing I can think of is banners. Now, I'm sure either increasing the points amount, lowering pity, whatever the end goal is, if one of them happens, it'll be okay. If we get more currency, I'm sure the pity will be fine. If they lower pity, the currency is still kind of low, but it is more manageable, and you can summon on characters you maybe not would be able to just because you save a certain amount of currency. Even if it goes from 75k to 70k, that is 5 multis you get, or maybe it drops down to 65k or 60k, that is still a good amount of quartz you are saving, and you know, that could mean more summons on different banners. Now, I don't know how much Konosuba makes or how realistic that could be. That is pretty much a question for the Nexon employees, I don't know if the global team can handle that, or it, you know, goes up to the hierarchy of maybe like the JP devs. Not too sure how that works, but one of those would be very helpful. Now, the next thing is step-up banners. Now, with step-up banners, the one I choose to show you guys is Grand Cross's. Grand Cross has a really good step-up system, and I think it makes the most sense. While Dokkan and Legends also have step-up banners, and Kingdom Hearts Union Cross kinda had a step-up banner in a sense. It was called something else, and it was a little bit to get into. But anyway, Grand Cross has the most realistic one, pretty much. There was pity for their festival characters at 900. There was pity for their normal characters at around 600, which would be really helpful. Let's say if you summoned for Anton Mel, you would get her in less amount of pity because she's not a festival. I feel like that's fair, and that could lead into lowering the pity if they chose to go that route. But there are occasionally banners in Grand Cross where you do a couple multis and you get a multi for 1 diamond. Grand Cross's currency is 30 for a multi, so in our sense it would pretty much be 100 cores for a multi. And then there is a guaranteed 4-star, which Grand Cross is SSR, but in Konosuba terms it would be a 4-star for us. And then after, you know, a certain amount of multis, you would get the guaranteed new character. Now, I'm not saying doing this with every single like general pool character, but doing them on certain ones, if you do want the character, would be pretty nice. Probably more on the weaker character side. I'm not sure how you would fully implement that, but that is a great idea, at least to spice up fan variety. I know we have the 4 stars guaranteed ones and the 2k for like a stamina beef and all that, but the issue with that is they're paid. I know another game that I'm not mentioning here, Pokemon Masters, also has paid currency, and they kind of do the same thing, but they also have some banners that are discounted or still have 4 stars. So it's really just up to the Konosuba devs how they implement that, but I do think it is a great idea. Now, another thing with fixing Konosuba Fantastic Days is returning events. Now, I'm going to use Dokkan and Legends on this one. They have quite a bit more events than Konosuba, and frankly, it's kind of hard to gauge how exactly to do returning events, but returning events would be very helpful. Not only could it, you know, increase the amount of content, if you missed one of your characters, at the moment you have to wait for it to appear in the Axis and Iris Metal Shop. It's a bit expensive, I do say, but you can still get the character. I think as long as you can get 1 copy at 111 for your returning character, I think that would be okay. I'm not too sure how they'd implement fighting the boss, as some of them are co-op, and I'm not sure how their system works for that. But, you know, that's another question for Konosuba devs to figure out if they do implement that. But I do think returning events can help out players who, you know, started late, missed a character, or just content in general if you want to grind out that event for whatever reason. Next up with that is UI changes. This one's a bit of a personal preference. I think it's a bit difficult to navigate the UI of the game. While you pull up on the summary screen, you can see your characters just fine. When you click on rights for a banner, it opens up this Google Doc looking sheet, and you have to scroll down. Technically, it brings you to a pop-up that is in the forums, and it's not actually quote unquote in the game. It's a pop-up, and it is a little hard to navigate, especially when I first started. I was super confused on where anything was in the news. I actually had to join the Discord to figure out news because I just couldn't figure out in game. So I think if, you know, I don't know if this is more inside if JP does it, you guys can do it, but next on Ploys, if you're listening, please change the UI so we can, you know, players who aren't too tech savvy or just have no idea what they're looking for can see like banner rates and in-game news a bit easier. You know, that might be a personal preference, but I find it really hard to navigate the UI. And then the last one for 15 Konosuba Fantastic Days is the PvP rewards. Now, currently PvP is kind of the whole reason you would play Konosuba a ton. Personally, I'm not the biggest, I wouldn't say fan, but I don't go crazy on it. I kind of just stick in top 5k at least and get the rewards. I think a huge incentive, now Legends does this, is putting currency in the arena rewards for rankings. Now I know this incentivizes whales, and I'm not sure if every free-to-play player would like this, but it would give you more of an incentive to play arena and try to get a higher score, maybe some for certain characters. If they gave you, like, let's say, I don't know, like 3 multis or something like that, you know, something good to where you'd want to grind arena. I'm not sure exactly how much you would get at certain ranks, but adding currency or just more better rewards for arena, since that is kind of the main mode in Konosuba at the moment that keeps people engaged. I feel like they should be rewarded for, you know, working hard and perfecting their runs to get a high score. Next up is new content. Now, I'm going to be 100% honest with you. This is going to be a bit of a personal thing here. Not everyone's going to agree with me, I understand, but I feel like I've played a good amount of gacha games to kind of just nitpick what modes would be really, really good and I found engaging, so these are what I recommend. So, first off, we are going to talk about the tower that Grand Cross has. Tower and Grand Cross is a couple things. There is a tower where you pretty much just go in and defeat the enemy and you get certain rewards on that. It is kind of similar to the Cosmo mode I saw on JP. Like I said, haven't played it yet, but it has general vibes. It's not quite like Dungeon, because Dungeon is kind of one go. On the tower, it's one stage, you beat it, you go on to the next one, you can change your team, and it kind of just power through it. There is a permanent tower, which is kind of the one that I was aiming at, and that one is, there's a hidden gimmick. You find the gimmick and find a way to beat it. Fun gimmicks I could see implementing are only magical characters get boosted damage, so if you bring physical team, you wouldn't do any damage. Only male characters can do damage. Only characters who are lightning do damage, or, you know, you have to hit them with ults to do damage. Characters who inflict status conditions have like increased damage output, stuff like that. It's pretty much just a fun gimmick that the player base gets to figure out and then go from there, get the rewards. Most of the time the rewards are, you know, a multi or some of the premium, or not premium currency, sorry, the more premium items, such as for Konosuba would be like the Axis Eris medals or the Cadia reliefs, or, you know, it could be skill potions if they decide to put a character in it. Whatever it is, I just feel like that is a fun little get together for the community to figure out how to beat it, and if you don't have certain characters, how to beat it without those characters. I don't know, just a fun, engaging community game mode, and I really like it. Next up is a Kingdom Hearts Union Cross one, and that is, in the most basic sense, fighting the Konosuba characters. In Kingdom Hearts Union Cross, you fight, which is Organization 13. They're a boss from the second Kingdom Hearts game. For Konosuba, I feel fighting someone such as Aqua or Darkness or Cosma would be kind of funny, and the reason I got this idea is because you fight Veneer sometimes in arena or events, and Veneer will eventually be a playable character, so I thought, you know, why don't we fight the rest of the Konosuba cast? They could give us, you know, a 4-star unit or a 3-star unit of that character. They could give us, you know, a multi, or whatever, you know, Konosuba decides they want to give for rewards for that. I just think it would be funny. I don't know what gimmicks they would have, or if it's just, you know, fight the good fight and win kind of thing. That is another thing that is on the Konosuba devs to figure out, but I do think it would be a fun little game mode. And last but not least is my most requested one. I personally think this is almost a must-add, because the whole time Konosuba is a party system, and that is guilds. So, the friend system in Konosuba is pretty much send meet, do co-op together, that's it, right? Now, guilds in Kingdom Hearts Union Cross, I think were implemented the best I've ever seen. I don't really like the Legend guilds, and the guilds in what was it, the other game I played, Brave Frontier, were okay at best. I don't really remember any other gacha games that I really delved into the guild system too much besides this one. This one, pretty much, you played games, you got points to your guilds, you get rewards at the end of it, but the main thing was a guild boss. As you see on the screen right now, it'll say warning, active request. Pretty much, there'd be an event, you'd grind, and you would spawn a boss, and you and your guildmates would fight it. Pretty much similar to co-op in Konosuba. You would have a result on who did the most damage, host would get a bonus, pretty much general stuff that we have in Konosuba already, so it wouldn't be too hard to implement, I don't think. And then at the end of it, you would get a nice reward if you scored a certain amount. There's party rankings. There's a couple of systems in Kingdom Hearts that I won't get into, but it's pretty much, whoever did the best got certain rewards, such as cosmetics. Obviously, we don't have cosmetics in Konosuba, so it'd have to be something else, but you pretty much get the gist of it. I think it would expand the friend system a bit more, and when you play with friends, I feel like you're more inclined to play. Personally, that's just my opinion. If my friends are playing a game, I, enjoy it more, and I find more enjoyment in playing it more, even if it is a game that is catered more towards single player, or maybe I'm not always playing with them. I just, the more people playing a game in a community, I feel it's more fun and more engaging in that way, and that's why I think guilds are a really, really good implementation. Nexon, if you're listening, please try to figure out how to add guilds. It would mean a lot, and I'm sure a lot of people would enjoy it. Whew, a lot of talking here. Now, let's get into the next one, and that is the hard truth. Now, this is pretty much what I was saying at the end of the video. Nexon employees, Ghosty, if you're watching this, this is pretty much the hard truth with Konosuba. Now, this could be because there was a couple of instances, but as of right now in the water arena, there is not a person who is ranked 30,000. So I don't know if that means there are less than 30,000 active players, but that's just what I saw in the arena, and that's a little concerning. I'm not saying Konosuba shutting down or anything. I'm just saying, obviously, players don't seem to care too much about arena, or they haven't gone on. I just saw this and it kind of hit me. Oh crap, I need to get this video out now. And I'm not saying this video is gonna save Konosuba, everything I say is gonna be implemented, but I just wanted to get my words out there. So Ghosty, if you're listening, please try your hardest. This game is really fun, and I do very enjoy it. I know a lot of people do enjoy it. I've heard friends who, they haven't watched Konosuba, they don't really, know anything about it, but the game looks fun. They want to play it. They just don't have an incentive to play it. Mostly because of other reasons. Nexon, unfortunately, doesn't have the best track record from what I've seen. Personally, I haven't played any Nexon games, so I can't say myself, but there is a bad taste in players' mouths from other games with Nexon. This isn't a jab at, the Nexon employees watching this, it's just what I've seen. So a lot of people are hesitant to play Konosuba, and I'm sure the recent stuff happening has not helped that, so I really want to get, Nexon in a higher light and have people say, oh, Konosuba Fantastic Days, one of the best games I've ever played, Also, another hard truth is Legendary Chris. I'm thinking of the one that just came out. So on the JP version, she was the 4th festival banner. They had Aqua and Darkness like we did. They had Cosmo like we did. They have Megami and Wiz, and then Chris. Now, because of the JP schedule, this made a little bit more sense for us. That would be a little crazy if we got Megami and Wiz around November. Especially if Overlord is in November, by the way. Ooh, that would be very rough. I'm sure the game would not be doing too hot if that happened. Please don't let that happen. But anyway, Chris is pretty much the best character in the game. I know her and a general pool character, Maidley, are pretty much referred to as like the best 2 characters. I've seen, I use Qualis Tulis a lot. He has those 2 characters at the top. and Chris is pretty much a dominant meta destroying queen, and it pretty much comes down to if you don't have her, arena is gonna get really hard for you. General content probably won't be impossible, but she makes it a breeze. And she came out with what is currently going to be Global's Christmas banner. Now, if Overlord is in fact November, that is a collab. A lot of people are not going to want to miss that. You then have potentially up to like a couple weeks to now have enough currency for Chris. Now currently, I don't even have a pity on Konosuba. I am very light spender. I hardly ever spend money on the game because I currently cannot, and I'm sure there's a ton of other players who are in the same boat. If you drop Overlord, people will summon on it first because they want to guarantee the collab characters. If you drop Chris after that, that is effectively almost killing the entire free-to-play player base, which for the most part is most of a gotcha's player base. People will straight up not get Chris and not play, or they won't be able to get all the Overlord characters and they'll be upset, which understandable. A lot of people have speculated that Overlord would come, so people somewhat new to save, but it's just rough. I know, obviously, if you're playing a game without insight from a JP version, you kind of have to just take the bullet when they announce stuff, but since we have somewhat of an insight, it's just, you know, a warning flag at this point. I don't know how well the game is going to fare if Chris is dropped at Christmas. I'm pleading push her back as long as you can to a better one. Even if it messes up the banner, I think people would be a lot more acceptive if Chris wasn't on the banner, and let's say you threw like, I don't know, just the normal banner. It could just be the Christmas units, right? Chris doesn't have to be on the banner. I feel like if a festival character is tied to a limited banner, they should be moved back for the sake of Global's timeline, as we are moving at a faster pace than JP did, and it'll effectively kill off certain characters that, you know, were good in that game. But anyway, regardless of that, pretty much, please do not rush banners. Add more content so the player base is more engaging. If you have any questions, or like, you know, not too sure exactly what I meant in this video, Ghosty, reach out to me. Any other person on the team, I'm in the Discord. You should be able to DM me on Discord. I'm pretty much always active, so there's that. Or if you're a Nexon dev who isn't in the server, comment on this video, yada yada, we'll get in touch, we can talk, whatever helps. Even if you're just there to say, hey, I understand there's not much we can do, I appreciate that. I'll take whatever kind of feedback I can get. If you are a viewer or you're seeing this outside, like I said at the beginning of the video, you know, spread this video around if you can. I just want as much people to see this as possible. I do really like this game, and I'd rather not see it go into a dying light. I know other people do enjoy this game. Konosuba as a franchise series is very popular. I'd argue even more than Seven Deadly Sins, which Garden Cross is doing very well for itself at the moment, so there should be no reason Konosuba can't. That kind of just comes down to the gacha itself. But anyway, I'm going to end the video there. Thanks for watching. Hopefully this, you know, sheds some light on it, or maybe comes with some positive change for the game, and gives some good ideas on potential content for, you know, those of you at Nexon who see this. Other than that, thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next video.